here in my time with this one, supremely inoffensive. The steering, supremely inoffensive. The powertrain, supremely inoffensive. The transmission, supremely inoffensive. The ride, supremely inoffensive. Everything about this, supremely inoffensive. Hey gearheads, and welcome to Garage Talk. I'm Corey, and this is a 2025 Subaru Outback in the top Touring XT trim. This tall wagon really is in a class almost all on its own, but if spy shots are to be believed, this may be the last model year for this wagon in Subaru's lineup, with the next generation going more mainstream and SUV like the very popular Forester in Subaru's lineup. What has this been like to live with for a week? Why do I say it is a tall wagon and on its way out? And what other notes do I have from living with it for a week? All that and more. Stay tuned. Yes, gearheads, this tall wagon may be on its way out, but while I've got this one here with me, huge thanks to Subaru for the week-long loan, I do want to tell you some things about it. First and foremost, since we are up front here, let's talk about what motivates the top trim of this Subaru Outback Touring XT, and that would, of course, be Subaru's legendary Boxer engine. This is a 2.4-liter turbocharged Boxer engine, making 260 horsepower, 277 pound-feet of torque, mated to a high-torque Lineartronic CVT. I know, that's a dirty word, but it really isn't that terrible, with an 8-speed manual shift mode, and of course, Subaru's patented Symmetrical all-wheel drive, which puts power naturally to all four wheels, which all of that together makes for a very inoffensive, supremely inoffensive package. Everything about this vehicle is supremely inoffensive, and that's a good thing. I'm not complaining. I really have enjoyed our time with this one. You can see we do have that top-mounted intercooler with the intake here on the hood that feeds from the top of the grille here. And yeah, very good airflow and pretty good power. We'll talk about how it rides and drives here in just a moment, but yeah, my least favorite thing is right here with the prop rod. Closing the hood, you can see we have traditional Subaru styling, something that we see on practically every other Subaru model, with exception of that updated Forester. The #1 comment I got with the 2025 Forester refresh was how it looked like a Honda or a Ford or a you name it. It lost its Subaru-ness, but I beg to differ. Go check out my last video on that. But this does have very traditional Subaru styling. I like, because of that intercooler up top, how the top part of the grille here on this Outback is actually functional. The last couple of Foresters that we checked out at the Chicago Auto Show, in that new hybrid model and the new wilderness model, yeah, this was all just dead space in the grille. It was kind of odd, really, but a very clean, handsome styling here. LED lights, LED running lights, incandescent turn signals, a little bit odd, but very big LED fog lights. Very clean, very traditional look. As I've mentioned several times in this video, a tall wagon, even though the website does classify this under their SUV segment, and they would have you believe that this is an SUV. It has a long-standing history with the now discontinued Legacy sedan. In fact, yes, some of the first generations were referred to as the Legacy Outback. My brother actually had one, and now Legacy has been dropped from the name, oddly enough. Now it is truly its own model. This is just the Outback. You can see the updated styling, though, up front does give this a clean look since this 6th generation was introduced in 2019. But as we move around to the side, its tall wagon heritage and legacy is very obvious, but we get a decent amount of ground clearance underneath and some aggressive plastic wheel arches and lower body cladding under both of the doors. We'll come in close here because we have 18-inch alloy wheels with a machine face wrapped in these Yokohama Avid GT tires. These are 225 60 R18s wrapped around these machine-faced wheels. It's a nice, clean, handsome design. Again, super inoffensive in practically every way. The more I look at it, the more I think, you know what, this is just a fine vehicle. There's nothing offensive about it. It just works. As we look at the profile of it, you can see that taller stance does make it more SUV-like, which does help them sell more, I'm sure, calling it an SUV and not a wagon. And really the only other vehicle that this directly competes against would be that Toyota Crown Signia that we tested recently, outside of some of the true German wagons that we see from Audi, Mercedes-Benz, and the like. Yes, the Crown Signia we had not only competes very closely to this, but we had a model painted in a nearly identical blue with a nearly identical brown interior. As we come up close to this one, I do want to show you this lower cladding down here that really does set this one off as more of a rugged vehicle than just a car or tall wagon. As we pull around to the back, much like up front, we get incandescent turn signals, but LEDs on the brake lights, running lights, things like that. And it is a cleaned up, handsome look over the years. Nothing too spectacular to speak of, but it just works. You can see we get that Subaru Symmetrical all-wheel drive badge there on the left, and the Touring XT there on the right to let everyone know you've got the top trim. But coming down, we have dual exhaust ports, but they aren't visible. They're just turn downs hidden behind the back bumper back there, which really, let's face it, the Pacific Northwest clientele of this, I don't think really desires extensive cutouts in the bumper to show off the exhaust. You can see we do have a power liftgate back here with really good space behind the second row of seats. I'm very impressed at just how much space can be found back here behind the second row of seats, but it is a 60-40 split bench that can be folded down and expand the 32.6 cubic feet that we have right now into a massive 75.6 cubic feet. So very nice, very roomy cargo area that can be made all that much larger with this latch right here that folds down the seats. Now, unfortunately, I can only fold down that side because Tucker's child seat is in place. We'll talk about that more here in just a moment. But we do have the optional all-weather floor mats on this, and we do have a little bit of extra storage there on that side. Underneath the floor mat here, what do we have? If I can get this open, well, we've got our tools for changing a flat, our driver's floor mat, because again, we have the optional all-weather floor mats, but you can see also trimmed in tan. So just a little bit of storage down here. We do have some additional power back here in the back, but no major power outlets. And then you can see here, we do have some retracting bag hooks and some D-rings for putting in nets or some additional accessories. Coming to me underneath the hatch, I've got a decent amount of room at 5'10". I've been in bigger vehicles that have the same amount of room underneath the hatch. So that is saying something. And you can see just over my head here, whoop, there it is. We have a lock and a close button that when you press it, you get a couple beeps and then it starts going down rather quickly. Before we climb in this one, I do want to show you the key. Typical Subaru key here, just like every other model in their lineup. You can see we've got lock. Subaru logo is your unlock. I'm really trying to get a focus here. Your hatch release, a panic button, and you can deploy a physical key. Focus if you need to, but it is a proximity key, so you can just keep it in your pocket, in your purse, on your person, whatever the case may be. And it is a passive system, so you can lock it by pressing right there. The mirrors fold in, and you can unlock it by just grabbing the door handle. That is only on the front doors, not on all four doors. So just letting you know that for if you've got to load a kid into the vehicle. But when you do open the doors, you're greeted by this beautiful Nappa leather that is brown and contrasts so nicely to the blue paint on this one. We do have some gloss black, which is not my favorite throughout this, but we have some metallic look accents all the way around. I really do like the use of colors, textures, and materials here. The driver's seat does have 2-position memory, but actually we have more than that. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. Over here we get all of our typical window controls that are in every other Subaru model, with express up down all the way around, which I really like, and a window lockout. A little bit of storage here, a little bit of storage down here. You can see down here, multi-way adjustable seat with 4-way lumbar, which I really like. And I already mentioned these brown Nappa leather seats. They are very comfortable and have been very enjoyable. In addition to all of the power adjustments, you also have a manual thigh extender with crumb catcher if you need that. And that is a very nice option to these seats right here. Go ahead and zoom out and climb in, close the door, and you are greeted by a very traditional Subaru interior, though I really do like all the contrasts. We'll go ahead, put our foot on the brake, push the engine start button, which is hidden back here, and it comes to life. You can see, much like almost every other Subaru, we've got analog gauges, though the new Forester Hybrid did show off a digital information screen back behind the steering wheel, so that is coming. No head-up display on this one, just a small digital display here in the middle. We get the 11.6-inch Starlink infotainment system here, which is rather nice, but let's start over my left knee and work across. Much like Toyota, which shares a lot of history and engineering with Subaru, we get a lot of buttons over our left knee here. You can see we have our hatch open, our brightness controls, a poverty button, and your defeat of that rear lift gate. Further down, we've got fuse panel down below, but that's generally all you've got over here. We do have a repeat of all of the materials that work their way across, but hidden way back here is your trip and odometer reset, which is all found here on the digital screen. You can see we've got 170 plus miles on ours, and we're averaging just under 21 mpg. Lots of buttons on your typical Subaru steering wheel. You can see we do have a heated steering wheel, but all your ADAS stuff, all your connectivity stuff, all on here. We do have paddle shifters on the back of the steering wheel because, again, this Lineartronic CVT does have an 8-speed manual shift mode, which I'll be honest, I haven't used. The CVT we'll talk about here in a little bit, but I have not used the paddle shifters. Coming over here to the center stack, you may see these red lights flashing at me. That will come in handy here in just a moment as to what we're talking about, but is also part of the driver attention warning to make sure that the driver is paying attention. We get warnings here in the center screen of the gauge cluster if you're not, and audible beeps and things like that. But moving to the Starlink infotainment system, there is a lot going on here, including birthday and anniversary reminders if you need that in your life. But lots of different quick access buttons. You can see we do have this section up here that you can pan through a few different things, whether it be weather or your X mode. But I typically keep it on Apple CarPlay to show what I'm listening to, so I can have something else displayed down here. I'm currently filming on my phone, but when we set off in motion, I can talk more about how Apple CarPlay displays on this vertical screen. Let's just say I like it a lot. We'll go into settings here because I joked about there are more than 2 position memory seat settings here for the driver, and for that you're gonna have to dig through menus and such because there really is a lot of stuff in here. I wasn't joking about the birthday and anniversary stuff in here, but you can set up different driver profiles in this. Yeah, there's your driver monitoring system, but you can set up different driver profiles in this and have facial recognition when you get into the vehicle. So I really am impressed with just how well this works. You may see that green indicator there. That is noting that the eyesight system is working. You can see here, this also, like I said, monitors who is sitting here in the driver's seat. So when you turn it on, it'll say, "Greetings, Corey. Hello, Corey." And when I turn it off, we'll go ahead and turn it off here. Let's see, will it say it? Setting can be changed after ignition. Nope, it's not going to do it. Maybe if I open the door, of course it's not going to do it because I've got it on camera. Nope. But yeah, there you go. See you, Corey, for my driver profile. But we'll go ahead and start it back up. My Subaru, make an appointment, roadside assist, concierge service. I really am having to dig through it. It did trigger it when I first got in the vehicle. I was like, hey, do you want to register a driver? But yes, we'll go into general. We'll go into display, reminder screen, valet mode, meters, driver profiles. You can add a driver profile with facial recognition. And you can see, you can set your different languages and different preferences. You can put in a driver's name, and then you can set in personal information, and it will remember your face so that you have more than just your 2 preset settings here. I can say after Holly lived with this while I was out of town, I was able to get back in it, and the seat immediately started going back to my preferred settings, and I got a welcome Corey message on the screen here, so that is very nice. This is also the touchscreen area for all of your HVAC controls. So you can see we have temperature up and down here and volume and tuning knob, physical controls baked into it. We do have heated and ventilated seats, and one thing I really like about these seats is they remember where they were set when the vehicle was turned off and back on. So I like that a lot. Dual zone automatic climate controls with all your fan speeds here. But if you touch there, you can have a full screen for your HVAC controls, really dive deep into everything. But like I said, quick access hard buttons here for that, which I really like. When you put it in reverse, the top area is your backup camera. This has 2 exterior cameras on it, a backup camera and a front-facing camera, which I can trigger by pressing this button right here. No 360 cameras on this one, which is a little odd in this $45,000 price point, especially this being the top trim. Seems like a slight omission, but these 2 cameras do get a lot done between the 2 of them. Triggers the backup camera almost instantly. I did turn off rear automatic braking because we do have a steep driveway that fools nearly every vehicle that we drive into panicking as we get down to the bottom of it. You can see we have an electronic parking brake here. We have our camera button there. We have a USB-A and a USB-C, as well as an aux port back here, as well as a place to store your phone, though it does not appear to be a Qi wireless charger. Back here, we've got a couple cup holders behind all the gloss black plastic that we're already seeing some scratches and dust on. We have a gloss black top to this as well. Back behind, we have a dual stage center armrest, much like many Jeep products. So you can store some paper items here and more of your items here, though this feels just a little bit shallow to us. We do actually have a CD player still here in this vehicle, which is something that most other vehicles have abandoned. And then we have some more gloss black here above a rubberized storage panel there. A decent glove box here that is damped and felt lined, and then more storage on the passenger side over there. No crumb catcher built into this one, but very comfortable Nappa leather seats. And moving up, we do have a rear view camera mirror. This camera is actually in the rear shark fin antenna, so it is mounted fairly high. We do have some storage here for sunglasses. We have a regular sized sunroof here with a manual shade that I actually kind of prefer. Coming to me, you can see I've got plenty of headroom. I'm very comfortable in the front seat of this Subaru Outback. These seats are very comfortable. I really have no complaints with the front seats, but now let's hop in the back, check out the back seats, see what it's like sitting back there, see if you really can get 5 adults in this one. Coming up to the back doors, much like I told you earlier, there are no proximity sensors here, so you're going to have to unlock the vehicle with the key fob or by grabbing the front door handles first. You can see I do still have that seat back folded down from the rear. It is something that can be done here from the side as well by pushing this button and folding the seat down. But with the seat up, you can see all the same designs and materials back here. The doors open nice and wide for you to be able to get a child seat in. If you do want to see a point of view video of me installing Tucker's child safety seat, be sure and hit subscribe and follow along, because in our family review, I do just that. But coming in behind myself. I do have a nice step into this vehicle. The lifted ride height really does make it feel a lot like an SUV. And then we get some nice storage back here. We have 2 levels of map pocket back here, one for general items and the like, and then a tablet and a cell phone holder. Really do like those 2 options there. We have some air vents on the back of the center console, 2 stage heated outboard seats, and 2 power outlets back here in the back. You can see we have those all-weather floor mats back here as well, but a rather large center tunnel here, which may make riding in the center just a little bit more uncomfortable. It is a higher seating position and a firmer seat back, thanks to our fold-down center armrest that does have a couple cup holders. We also have a center headrest back here that does raise up. For all of you concerned about center headrests, that seems to be a popular comment on a lot of my GM videos here lately. And then our center seatbelt does come from the ceiling, though we have this little plastic feed channel for it to go through, so it's not overly in the way, but you can disconnect it if you want a clear access for all of your cargo back here. Coming to me, thanks to the fact that we do not have a massive panoramic glass roof, I've got decent headroom back here. I am sitting higher. There is like stadium style seating in here, but I've got good headroom back here. I've got no complaints here in the second row. I really do have no complaints. The overall seating position in all 4 outboard seats is a good one, though that center seat back here is a little bit of a miss. But let's hook up all of our cameras and see what this thing is like out on the road and show you some of the features of Apple CarPlay once we get this all set up and going. All right, now that I'm sitting here with my cameras mounted up so I can talk with my hands, and now that I'm not using my phone as a camera, I can show you the Apple CarPlay screen in this. I really like the vertical layout more than I thought I would. It's very quick to respond, despite those first few attempts. Whoops. But generally speaking, it has worked very well for us. And I really do like this home screen layout with its vertical. You've got the maps across the top with all your tiles down here. Really works well in this vertical orientation. I know this isn't the only vertical oriented Apple CarPlay screen, but I really like it. As I mentioned earlier, it is wireless, though I currently have it plugged in. That is really just for me, but we'll go ahead and set off in this vehicle. I do want to say a huge thank you to Racebox for providing us with this GPS race timer to see exactly what this thing is like accelerating. And that's exactly what we're going to do here and now, and then again at the end of the video. But we'll come to a full stop. I'm not putting it in X mode or anything like that. Firmly standing on the brake, firmly standing on the accelerator, and off we go. That turbocharged 4-cylinder pulls fairly strongly, and we get a 6.2 second 0 to 60. I am impressed with the overall power in this. The numbers, the 260, 277, may not scream like, oh yeah, this is a good fast vehicle, but because this isn't actually an SUV, because it is a tall car, you don't need a lot of power to move this thing down. Even with this CVT, continuously variable transmission, it is not a terrible experience. I will say, in my time with it, driving it around, running errands, doing typical grocery getter stuff, this vehicle has been supremely inoffensive. That has been like the catchphrase rolling around in my brain. Everything about it is supremely inoffensive. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I really do mean that in the most positive way possible. These seats are very comfortable and supremely inoffensive. They are heated, they are ventilated, which is very nice. The CVT is mostly unnoticeable, but even in that 0 to 60 run earlier, it does a fair job all on its own. You can slap it over in manual mode, and then you have 8 speeds to roll through with the paddles back here. Though, again, I have not done that here in my time with it, and don't really need to. It seemed to know exactly what I wanted to do with it when I asked of it to. The ride in this is also supremely inoffensive because it is a lifted car. It has car-like ride to it. It doesn't have an SUV-like ride, especially because it is a unibody, which most SUVs are nowadays. I tend to call those crossovers and save SUV for a true body-on-frame vehicle like a Tahoe, like an Expedition. But yes, the ride on this is supremely inoffensive. It's four-wheel independent, lifted suspension, and it does a good job of soaking up bumps and hiding imperfections in the road underneath us. In our family review coming up later, Holly will drive this down the historic brick streets of downtown Tyler, Texas, and we'll see what it's like on even more imperfect pavement. But again, here in my time with this one, supremely inoffensive. The steering, supremely inoffensive. The powertrain, supremely inoffensive. The transmission, supremely inoffensive. The ride, supremely inoffensive. Everything about this, supremely inoffensive. The style, the space, everything. It's just good. It is really good. Subaru really does have a good thing going here, but as I mentioned, this was riding on the legacy sedan platform. This really was a car that got a lifted suspension and a extended cargo area back in the back to make it a wagon. In recent years, Subaru has marketed this as an SUV. If you go to Subaru.com right now, it will be under their SUV section, but spy shots have shown a really boxy, more traditional SUV future edition coming. We're expecting that for the 2026 model year. We may see it when in New York, but definitely stay tuned here for the channel for more of that when it becomes available, because I will be reporting on that for you here on the channel. But yeah, even taking some curves here at speed, this is a very comfortable vehicle. It is not loud or noisy in here, even on this supremely textured road underneath me. You can see we just went over some bumps. We're not being shaken to death. It is a floaty ride without feeling like you're in a boat, like you're gonna get seasick coasting over rough waters. It's just supremely inoffensive in all that it does. I hate to keep repeating myself, but I would say the most offensive thing of this is how intrusive some of the safety systems can be in this. I do have eyeballs watching back at me to make sure I'm paying attention, and I did just get a beep, maybe because I was holding my hand in front of my face, to get me to pay attention to the road a little bit more. And the camera is located over here, so there is potential of it missing me. It is also the camera that does the facial recognition for it to know, hey, it's Corey sitting behind the wheel, not Holly. And that is something I really do like. But yes, I've gotten more beeps and bonks and safety warnings than I care to admit in this. But Subaru does have their eyesight safety system in this. It does have their driver attention stuff, watching to make sure I'm paying attention. And if you want to know more about the specific details of what's included with the safety and security system, with some other features that I may not mention specifically here on camera, check out the video description, because I do a complete rundown there each and every time that I get a vehicle. Even talk about fuel capacity and fuel mileage, which in this, in just over 170 miles, we are getting over 20 mpg, which I would say is very impressive. I have been idling a little today, so I've ruined some of Holly's great fuel economy. But yes, very un-SUV-like fuel economy returns from this turbocharged 4-cylinder boxer engine underneath. It's not anything that's going to stir up emotion in anybody, but I think the reason these sell so well is because they are truly just that good. They are more than an appliance. They have become a lifestyle. They do have quite the reputation about them, and I think that is the entire Subaru brand, not just this Outback line. But yeah, I mean, I am struggling to find true critiques of this, because it does everything as I ask it, and it's not really leaving me wanting for anything except for maybe some emotion. It's a little emotionless, but in your daily driver family mobile, do you really want a lot of emotion, or is that coming from the passengers in the backseat? All right, speaking of emotion, we're going to do a couple more 0 to 60 tests. This time we're going to do a more traditional. Last time I brake torqued it by revving it up while standing on the brake pedal. This time, I'm just going to go from a full stop to a full go to see what it's like merging onto highway traffic. So I am firm on the brake. I am going to turn off the engine start stop so that the engine is on, but ready, set, here we go. .3, not too shabby. We are going uphill slightly, so I've got no complaints there. We're gonna turn around and do it one more time, going slightly downhill. Same method, no brake torquing. We're gonna see just mashing it, how quickly we get off the line. I will say, according to our Racebox timer, 0 to 30 was actually better that time. We just lost it there at the end, probably due to the hill. But again, firm on the brake, ready, set, here we go. .249.603. So there you have it. The quickest time did not come from brake torquing it. Nearly 6 seconds flat, rounding error, 6 second flat 0 to 60, which is very impressive from a turbocharged 4-cylinder. Impressive from something with a CVT, showing you that that isn't necessarily the death knell that most journalists would lead you to believe. Not all CVTs are created equally. And again, it did it with very little emotion when accelerating. So yeah, we're really allowing this family vehicle to leave all the emotion to whatever passengers you have with you. Speaking of which, Holly and Tucker will be in my next video on this vehicle. If you want to see that, be sure and hit the subscribe button down below. Ring the bell so you are notified when future videos drop from us. Find us on all social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, Threads, YouTube, you name it. Everything is at GT Garage Talk, or you can go to gtgaragetalk.com. But as for me, in the perhaps last wagon to wear the Outback name in this 2025 Subaru Outback during XT. Until next time, gearheads. Bye.